no, we're the sidewalk.
The sidewalk's public, but
Yeah.
the property is not.
Oh, okay.
It's
Yeah.
private, and we can't have y'all.
Thank you.
We're right here on the sidewalk. Thank
I
you.
still can't have y'all record.
Why is that?
It's,
This is a public sidewalk, right?
Yes, but the building itself is public,
Okay.
and I can't have anybody record.
American Homes for Rent, one of our institutional investors who did purchase up many single family homes as well as build them, is selling this property.
Welcome back to Real Estate Mindset. Today's video is going to be absolutely bonkers, and today we're doing a Metro Report video, eyes from the sky, boots on the ground in San Antonio, Texas. And today, you guys, we're going to do a extravaganza. We're not just going to cover new construction, we're going to cover existing, we're going to cover commercial real estate, the job market, demographics. We're going to cover everything so that you have a full understanding of not only what's going on in San Antonio, but also what's going on with other real estate markets around the nation. I brought my entire production studio through downtown San Antonio so that you guys could see the Alamo. And not only that, guys, I also have Melody Wright with us.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us here in San Antonio, Texas. I'm so excited to be co-hosting and on this trip with Travis. We're really going to be changing it up and showing you the city in great detail. We're going to tour new home sites, multifamily, long-term rental. We're really going to give you that boots on the ground, eyes from the sky perspective.
Rent today and get 1 month of free rent. I'm standing outside right now at the Villas. This is one of many apartment complexes that we're showing you guys. And this right here, you guys, alone probably accounts for about 5% of total inventory, and it's not even on the market yet. So another build-to-rent community. This is not apartments. This is more townhouses. I mean, this stuff, you guys, is all over the place. Back to you, Melody.
Here we are at the San Antonio Food Bank. This is a very large food bank where they serve over 100,000 people each week. To date, they've served 92 million pounds of food. And guys, this is what we've heard all over the country, that we're seeing increased folks coming to these food banks up to where it was back during the pandemic. So the other thing to note about this, very interesting, is Travis and I tried to fly the zone over this location. It was restricted. We don't see an airport around. It was restricted in a way that Travis has never experienced. So what it seems like to me, guys, is that they don't want people filming how many people are lining up here each week, which is similar to the way that you don't see these stories in news, in the national news. We're not hearing about everyone out there that is struggling, that has to come out here every week to get food because they can't afford their groceries because of inflation.
Existing homes. Now, according to Redfin, again, San Antonio is the only metro area with a year-over-year price decline sitting at negative 1.9% year-over-year. However, guys, remember, it peaked in May of 2022 at 295,000. So right now, homes on average, existing homes, are down $30,000. Now, don't forget, guys, obviously we're talking about macro data. You got to go hyper local. You got to go into the subdivisions. Now, some of the things that Melody and I discovered when we were touring the existing home market, number one, was foreclosures.
And speaking of foreclosures, we have 658 here in the San Antonio area. We're standing actually at the back end of one of those properties. And something else we'd like to mention is you can see behind me there is a vacant dwelling. We see so much of this on the road that you have all these abandoned buildings that need to be addressed right next to new build communities. There is so much oversaturation of building here, and yet at the same time you have so much vacant and abandoned properties. I would hope what happen is that you would address those existing properties before you go as crazy as what we've seen here in San Antonio.
Now, moving on, guys, we were also able to find several FSBO, or for sale by owners. Now, the total amount of FSBOs is shocking, 700 for sale by owners. You guys, that's insane, because the total amount of listings on MLS roughly is 9,000. So we have roughly 8% additional inventory that's not even being reported on MLS, guys. There's a lot going on right now with existing homes. Remember, when we have one bad comp in a subdivision, it can bring the entire neighborhood's value down. Now, let me show you what Melody has found.
Guys, this is our story. We're standing in front of our story. This home was built in 2006, currently owned by Americans Home for Rent. They were trying to rent it, listed in 2021 for about $18.95. Now in 2023, it went up to like $23.50. But they got a big tax bill, 30%, over 30% increase in taxes, and now they're listing it for sale. Originally listed earlier in the summer at $445,000 last year. It is now at $369,000. And so obviously American Homes for Rent, one of our institutional investors who did purchase up many single family homes as well as build them, is selling this property. This is a nice neighborhood, but clearly the carrying costs, the property taxes have just made it not a good idea to hold on to this home, but they're also having issues selling it. Right across the street, there's also another home listed for sale. And then as Travis and I were coming in here, we saw all the signs. We haven't even gone to the new build residents, new build sites yet. We're going to head over there to some of those, but we're seeing them all over the place, as well as new multifamily.
How crazy is it that an institutional investor can't even sell their house when they're price cutting it around 20%? Either way, we're going to move on to the job market.
Let's talk about jobs. Everybody wanted to talk about jobs last week with that blowout jobs report. But as Travis and I have been telling you, we've lost 1.8 million full-time jobs in the last 4 months. Although we've added part-time jobs and government jobs, we're losing those jobs that can sustain middle-income lifestyle. But in San Antonio specifically, unemployment rose January to February by 4.1%. It was quite an uptick. As you guys know, the national average is more around 3.7%. Also looks like here that they have lost year over year some information technology jobs, and where they've gained is in the government sector and in travel and hospitality. But we're here on a Sunday down at the Alamo, downtown San Antonio, and I gotta tell you, there's not a ton of crowds.
New construction, that may be the biggest impact on what's going on with San Antonio. Now I'll throw up some overlays. I'm using New Home Source. Now obviously this data is underreported. Now you can see that there are several thousand, 7,000 to 9,000 new homes at a time as reported on the map, as you guys can see that here. But on top of that, guys, let me throw this overlay up so you can see there are over almost actually 500 brand new home communities. You guys, this is absolutely crazy. Now, when we toured this area, Melly and I were able to find multiple home builders, guys, that were doing real price cuts, anywhere from 50,000, 60,000, 70,000. Either way, you guys, everything's going to be linked in this video, so you can click the link, you can search for yourself and find out this information. Now, on top of the hyper supply, understand that new homes on average are down 19.3%. The total amount of inventory right now for new homes is over 8 months of inventory. And you guys, again, that is not everything that's being reported. It's probably more like a year and a half worth of inventory. Now, on top of that, guys, when we were touring, well, actually, let me show you guys how busy it is by taking you back to Melody.
Not busy at all, Travis. Here we are at Petrenko Oaks, a new build site with $54,000 in price cuts. And as you can see, it's empty. It's Sunday, April 14th. The weekend is when you think you would have traffic looking to buy, you know, in the spring selling and buying season. But no, all we can hear are the birds and the flapping of these flags. So many of these flags we've seen across the country over these new build sites. But the most interesting thing here, guys, is right next to the sales office is an existing home for sale. So what that existing homeowner has to do now is actually compete against the builders who are offering so many different concessions and the buy downs. And this is exactly what Travis and I don't want to happen to you.
As you saw, absolutely dead. Not even a sales rep, not even a vehicle. If I owned any of those model houses, I would rent a car and park it in front of that sales studio so that you think that I'm working. I mean, it's unbelievable. And that entire area, you guys, was massive. We really can't put into words just how big it is. So let me show you just how bad it is by taking you back to Melody.
Here we are at Petrenko Oaks, where it's a new build site, obviously. What you can see here, what Travis will be showing you, is they are actually expanding the road, thank goodness. But this reminds me a lot of Surprise, Arizona. But This is a new build site, already $54,000 in price cuts. And guys, look behind you at how much more is planned here. And on the way here, there was a new build site every mile. So Travis and I we had to stop counting. So absolute insanity in terms of oversaturation, overbuilding right here in front of your eyes.
You know, we threw some overlay, we took you there, boots on the ground. We really can't put into words just how crazy San Antonio is right now with new construction. Again, if you don't believe me, just literally go to San Antonio and go north, east, west, or south. It doesn't matter. It's in every single direction. Now, remember, you guys, if you do go to purchase a new home, remember it's a completely different niche. There's a lack of consumer protection. There's arbitration agreements in the purchase contract, and they constantly hide data. And also, guys, a really big thing is generally when you sign a contract with a new home builder, your earnest money is no longer protected. So yes, can you get a home maybe at 2021 prices? Yeah, you probably can. But remember, there are many risks involved when purchasing new. So we're gonna move on to the next niche, which is commercial real estate.
Here we are in downtown San Antonio, who is also struggling with a commercial real estate crisis. Right now, vacancy here is 19%. That's up from 13.5% in 2019 in the same period. And I'm standing right now in front of USAA, or former USAA office space. Their name would have gone probably right here. They had 565,000 square feet that they leased here. They're no longer here.
Let me just see if I can help y'all.
Nope, we're good.
Are y'all with the building or?
No,
Nope, we're the sidewalk.
The sidewalk's public, but
Yeah.
the property is not.
Oh, okay.
It's
Yeah.
private, and we can't have y'all.
Thank you.
We're right here on the sidewalk. Thank
I
you.
still can't have y'all record.
Why is that?
It's-
This is a public sidewalk, right?
Yes, but the building itself is public,
Okay.
and I can't have anybody record the building.
That's a law?
With it being a private building.
Do you want to just finish it?
yeah.
It's just call it if you need to. Just finish it.
So speaking of USAA, they had 220 layoffs just recently announced last week. That brings their total from last year to 1,200.
We've taken you to downtown San Antonio, literally in the heat of the metro area. It took us forever to park. As you guys can see, there's luxury apartments literally all over the place. How people can afford this, I do not know. You see massive building here, another building over there. There's actually also, if you guys look over there, there's abandoned, it looks like once, apartment buildings. Now it's boarded up, the windows are boarding up, things are falling apart. I mean, there's abandoned apartment complexes sprinkled in between some of these, luxury apartments. It's the craziest thing ever, guys. And let me show you this way real quick, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, it looks like 5 or 6 more luxury apartments down there. So there's not gonna be any type of, short supply of luxury. And also right here, guys, it says for lease. So this isn't full. A lot of this is vacant. Back to you, Melody.
Right behind me, you can see one of the many cranes that we have seen here in San Antonio, and quite frankly, one of the many across the country that we have seen with this overbuilding and speculation that has occurred. Commercial real estate, we're hearing about it every single day. There's another property in the news taking a huge write-down. Here in San Antonio, you have USAA, which is an insurance company, and they also do lending. They have had layoffs. They've had to vacate their commercial real estate. This is how it works in the cycles, and it's how these things go together. And you can't look at them in isolation. It's one thing to throw all this data at you. It's one thing to even show you all this video footage. But more important, we want you to hear from folks out there that are living this every single day, who have hopes and dreams about finding that next home for their next baby, but really don't see any logic in this market right now.
Welcome to Sean's residence. Sean, nice to see you, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you, sir. So I have Sean with us, guys, because he's someone that lives in San Antonio. He just moved. He has a house, used to own, still does own actually in Memphis. He moved to San Antonio, and he decided to rent a house instead of own a house. And I wanted to give you guys a different perspective of someone that's actually living in San Antonio, so we can figure out why would they decide to rent? What are they doing? What are you doing as you're renting? And then, basically what is his worries about purchasing? So before I begin, brother, anything, the power, you guys, of social media.
Wow.
Am I right?
Absolutely, yes.
He tweeted
I did not expect you to be in my living room today. That's crazy.
48 hours after he did a tweet, you guys, we show up in his house. How do you feel about that, man?
I'm amazed by that. I'm a huge fan and love both of your channels, so this is great.
So, let's start with the first question, man. Obviously, just to tell the viewers, you kind of became an accidental landlord, moved to San Antonio. Obviously, you're kind of chasing a job where you can work wherever you want. But let's start by, explaining to the viewers, why are you deciding to rent right now versus own? Because he does qualify. He's making a decision to rent. Okay, so again, he's not forced on the sidelines. So why are you renting, man?
Right. So we moved here to be closer to family as we had a baby. And really initially it was kind of don't fight the Fed. Like rates went from 3 to 6 with, and we missed out on the really low rates. I just wanted to see what happened with the market because of that. But at this point, it's just that the spread between the premium you would pay to own, which is normally the other way around. It's normally, cheaper to have a mortgage. But it's actually more expensive to have a mortgage so significantly that the amount of principal we'd be paying down is actually, it's not worth it financially. And then you put on top of it, the opportunity cost, what you can be doing with your down payment. You put on top of it that the inventory is increasing significantly in San Antonio and how the market is changing. It just didn't really make sense.
And so, and we went over this obviously before we started recording. There's your little baby, precious little, shout outs a little bit. And to his wife, shout out. Thank you for your hospitality. Great people. So obviously, unaffordability is a concern. We went over numbers. He's paying approximately, and I have his permission to say this, about $2,200 a month on rent. We looked at how much it would cost to purchase this house. It would be about $3,200. So in order for him to purchase a house like this, he's got to come $70,000 out of pocket, and in addition to that, $1,000. And so what he's basically saying is that he doesn't like that. Is that correct? You don't like that?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So the numbers would be kind of on what our next, what we would want for 10 years, right? It kind of long term. This works for now, but yeah, it was like $3,700 would be the mortgage payment if we put 10% down, $2,700 to rent it. You're paying down only a couple $1,000s, in the first couple of years because of amortization. So it just really doesn't make a lot of sense financially at this point.
And Sean, I constantly tell the viewers that, it's how you wait that matters, right? Like I'm renting right now, I own, but I'm renting with a purpose. Meaning I'm saving my money, I'm working my purchasing power. So are you doing anything right now that is, as you're renting, that is improving your purchasing power?
Yeah, I'm getting 5% on my, on my down, what would be my down payment. We're blessed to not have any credit card debt or anything like that. So, I'm also just looking for opportunities. There's pretty significant price drops in San Antonio, so I'm able to kind of wait and see what happens here as we see these supply increases and be in the position to, if things did become the right environment for us to buy, to be in a position where I'm not forcing it because of the timing. Because I did buy my first property in 2012 and 5x'd my down payment in 4 years during that time. So I'm just aware that it doesn't hurt to wait. What
would you say, as someone, normal person? I'll argue I'm also a normal person, right? Even though I don't. Normal. Okay, thank you. I'm a little crazy. I get it. But what's your biggest fear purchasing right now? What concerns you? Because you can qualify, you can find a house, you can buy, but what are you scared of?
Yeah, great question. So I mentioned we moved here to be closer to family, but my job is not here, and my company has done return to office and other places. And so in the event, it would be one thing if it was more expensive to own than rent, and I knew I was going to be there for a long time. But I'm in a position where if I had to then quickly move somewhere for my job, I would have to then either have a negative cash flow on what I could get renting the property that I purchased, if I were to have to rent it out, or to have to pay, realtor fees again on that purchase. So it just, the main thing, the worry would be job change and, return to office, that kind of thing. And then,
What about any concerns about losing equity or no?
That too. Like I said, I'm following, the San Antonio market pretty closely. I'm seeing, zip codes where inventory is up 100%. I'm seeing some places where median list price is down 17% year over year. So, absolutely. Even in the, in the worst case would obviously be the market turns, that supply builds up, prices go down. I've just purchased something, and now, job change means I'm super in a bad spot.
They say patience is a virtue. Is probably the reason why they say that. And I just want to say one more time, Sean, Brother, thank you for the hospitality, man. I mean, the social media, you guys, absolutely amazing. You know, I wish you the best of luck. Don't forget to join. Actually, he is a part of our Discord community. He's gave us some intel. So again, brother, from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate the hospitality. I wish you luck. Call on us anytime, communicate with us, and definitely take your time, right? Take your time, do what you're doing. And just one more time, brother, you're a good man, good
And hey,
good
I'm
father.
putting out some charts on Twitter for San Antonio. I work in analytics, so I've got like graphs of, you know, neighborhoods and inventory and price changes in San Antonio. So at RE Watchman on X.
So Travis, we saw quite a bit yesterday. What do you think? Is it a good time to rent or a good time to buy?
So here's the thing, guys. We're gonna, you know, my answer, the question I'm trying to answer here is what's better? Is it better to buy right now? Is it better to rent right now? And before I give you my overall conclusion, let me show you guys, and let me explain to you guys the data. So basically, on average, to rent a 3-bedroom single-family residence is going to cost you about $1,795. Okay, so almost $1,800. Now, also, don't forget, you guys, that's flat year over year, and also inventory is exploding, so it's possible. It's not happened yet, right? But it's possible that the rent will go down even more. Now, when it comes to purchasing, when we look at a similar house, and I'm taking about a $260,000 house, looking at a conventional 5% down payment at a 6.5% interest rate at a 2% tax rate, for me, again, I'm not your loan officer, I'm not quoting you anything right now, but for me, the payment would be right around $2,305. So the first thing we have to understand is on average in San Antonio, it's about, you know, from these calculations, about $500 more expensive to own, which honestly, some of the places that we've been to, like California, for example, that's not too, it's a gap. First of all, $500 is a lot, but it's not like $1,000.
You could be earning interest on that.
Right.
Yep.
So it's $500 a month, roughly more, guys. That's $6,000 a year. But remember, we can use the inflation to get ahead. So that $6,000 that I'm saving now, I can buy T-bills and get roughly $300 back on that money at 5%. Now, on top of that, don't forget you also have to have a down payment. So in order for me to move in, I calculated 5%. That's also going to cost me not only $500 more a month, but roughly $10,500, which would be a 5% down payment. Now remember, whatever money you use for a down payment to purchase a house, you can no longer hypothetically use that money to invest like I am, for example, in T-bills. So understand that your money would be locked up. And also, guys, you know, it really depends on what's going on with you. Now, this next thing is for the out-of-towners. Now, if you're an out-of-towner, you're coming into San Antonio, obviously your PE ratio may be 1. You may have $250,000 because you sold your California house. And to those people, I say, please don't buy even then, because you're messing everything up for the rest of us. But if you must buy, so be it. If you're going to purchase in San Antonio, what I would be doing as someone purchasing is I would be comparing 2021 values, 2021, and if I can get to 2020 values, then maybe that's a great deal. But when I'm looking in San Antonio, I'm looking for the wedge, which is having equity in the house before you move in, and having cash flow. So if I have to leave, you know, suddenly I lose my job and I can't sell because of negative equity, I could still rent it out and cash flow. And overall, you guys, you know, understand that San Antonio and Texas specifically is a very unique market. We have a tremendous amount of new builds, and I believe one of the primary reasons we're seeing San Antonio with year-over-year price decline and being the only metro according to Redfin at this time is because of the overwhelming new construction. We have both homes, townhouses, condos, and apartments. So honestly, you know, I still think overall 99% of people, right, 99, the specificity, I think what we do right now is we continue to sit tight, let things play out, increase our purchasing power, our credit, our income, our assets. And you know what, if we find a great deal, we're using 2021 prices, 2020 prices, you're ready to move on with your life, you have proper expectations, plenty of money saved, no consumer debt, it may, you know, it may be appropriate for you to do that. But no one's gonna know what's best for you like you. Now, having said all that, right, there's no crystal ball here. I covered some things. You know, last question to you, Melody, is what do you think is going to happen next in San Antonio, and how can consumers get ahead?
Yeah, so unfortunately, Travis, I think we saw evidence yesterday of the sucking from the city. And what happens is because it's become too unaffordable in the city, they move out to these exurbs where the new builds are, where they can get such great deals, right? But they have to be careful. And so in that existing neighborhood we went to yesterday, right next to that elementary school, so many of those homes were for sale. And I think likely because it looked like a half, maybe half rental, long-term rental neighborhood, half
Yes.
ownership. So I think, that's your starter. And if they're going to move out to have that first baby or second
Yes.
baby,
Yes.
that they're going to be moving out of the city. And that's why you saw that negative 0.8 demographic growth in the city itself, although the county expanded its population growth exponentially. But what's going to happen, you're going to suck everything out of the city. These neighborhoods are going to start to degrade. And by the way, there is no possibility, guys, no matter if an entire country moved here, that all of this housing stock is going to be filled. I mean, it's insanity. And in fact, from San Antonio to Austin is just one big new build site.
Yeah.
So the future, unfortunately, I think San Antonio it seems like a really kind of like a neat, cool town, smaller, like a smaller big city, if that makes sense. But I think they've got a lot of pain to come. That poverty rate, you're starting to see, even the construction jobs are up a little bit, but those are starting to slow. So unfortunately, I think you have to be concerned about your equity in San Antonio.
Okay, and then what can consumers do, think, if anything, what can they do, whether they own a home, maybe they don't own a home, to get ahead of the unaffordability, to get ahead of the maybe hyper supply in San Antonio, to get ahead of how new home values are now eroding existing home values? And really that's a huge element, negative equity, right? We're really negative
Right.
equity. How can people prepare for that, Melody?
Well, if they want to stay there for the next 15 years, it doesn't matter to them so much, I think make sure you're paying down your debt. That's what I would say to everybody.
Yes.
But depending on what's going on in your life, you really do need to be cautious at this time. And it may seem impossible because of inflation to save money.
Yeah.
But do anything you can to pay down every inch of debt you can, because that is what's going to make it difficult for you in the days ahead. And so to me, your situation is specific on whether you need to move in 2 years. So I can't tell you exactly, but I would just say, just do anything you can right now. And I know this may not sound fun. Get a second job, pay down that debt, just please get out from under it, because the next 3 to 5 years are going to be very challenging.
Yeah, well said. And you guys, we really hope you liked this video. We put a tremendous amount of effort, several days of shooting. I mean, I probably got heat stroke. It was ugly out there, man. The river walk, right? River walk almost completely annihilated me. So either way, we hope you like this video. We're in Austin. We're going to start that. Don't forget, you guys, if you want to support us, we lose money on these videos. Go to her Substack. Okay, subscribe to her Substack. She's been helping this entire time, so that's what you could really do. And other than that, guys, if you're out there investing in real estate, you know that we wish you luck, and we hope you win.